see because I just go. Without my glasses, I have to read.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council workshop for April 9th, 2019. I apologize for the delay. Sam uploaded the wrong copy for the ordinance with the changes that you and I had both asked for. So we have that corrected copy, and it's in front of you. Public input, we'll start with public input. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to come up and address the City Council on anything that's not on the agenda tonight, you may do so. It'll be a 3-minute limit to address the council. If there's anything that is on the agenda that you'd like to address the council about, you'll have that opportunity when that item is brought forward. Seeing none, we will move on to general items. Under general items, we have the appointment of Travis Pitts to police captain, and we have Chief Langby to present Officer Travis Pitts to you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, it's my distinct pleasure to be before you again, and I'm recommending that Travis Pitts of the Laurel Police Department be promoted to the position of captain. Travis began his law enforcement career in April of 1988, not quite when dinosaurs were roaming the earth, but pretty close thereafter. He began as a reserve deputy with Carbon County Sheriff's Department. He received his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Travis was then hired as a sworn deputy with Carbon County in July of 1993. That puts his law enforcement career at a quarter of a century now, coming up on 26 years here shortly. Travis came to the city of Laurel November 13th of 1996, and he worked as a patrolman until August of 2003. That's when he was assigned to the Eastern Montana High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Task Force for a year and a half. He was then assigned to as a task force officer with the Drug Enforcement Administration for 11 years. During that time, Travis served with distinction, and he was highly regarded amongst his peers and members within the DEA. Had an incredible reputation. During that time, Travis received the Task Force Officer of the Year in the Rocky Mountain Division for 2010. In April 2016, Officer Pitts returned to patrol duty, and he worked all shifts. During this time, he worked closely with the now retired Captain Mark Guy, learning the requirements and duties of the captain's position. As Mark always said, he was a great teacher. He mentored me. He mentored Travis, realizing that if he ever died, fired, or quit, he wanted the department to continue on. So learning from his tutelage, once I assumed the duties of chief, Travis has been acting as my interim captain in that time, and he's done exceptional at it. The men follow him explicitly. He's an incredible leader. He's an incredible supervisor. If you want to know something, talk to Travis. He's the smartest man in the room, I can tell you that. He knows all sorts of aspects of law enforcement, criminology, criminal theory, and he's a great tech guy too, by the way. So I often just let him, handle that part of it. Travis has over 1,200 hours of post-academy professional development training in law enforcement to go along with his bachelor's degree, and possesses his advanced certificate. And he has a large array of variation of law enforcement training to include his leadership training. So with those said, he showed himself to be an excellent officer and leader whose character, ethic, and judgment are superior. This department, any department, couldn't do finer. It's with the highest regards that I request you promote him to the position of captain. If there's any questions?
Any questions from the council?
He'll answer it. What he doesn't know, he'll make up. It'll be good.
Councilmember Wilk.
With his promotion, does that open us up another slot?
Currently, right now, I don't have. We're at full staff right now. We're, right now, yeah.
We could have another officer out there then with?
No,
No,
we're at
full
full
staff.
staff right now. Full
We
staff.
have full staff.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. So,
I thought we'd get another set of wheels up there.
we certainly could try. And I'm more than happy to take it, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Anybody else?
Any other questions? I'd like to thank Chief Langby very much. I had the opportunity last year when I was appointed mayor. One of the first things I want to do is go on a ride-along. So it was, within the first 2 or 3 months, I got to go on a ride-along with one of the officers I rode with was Officer Pitts. And got to see him in action, and he is everything that Chief Langby says. He's a great officer. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and does a great job, and takes great pride in what he does. So make a great addition as a captain. So I thank you very much. Moving on to executive review. Under executive review, we have a resolution of the City Council requesting distribution of bridge and road and safety and accountability program funds, which is our gas tax fund. And I have the clerk treasurer, Bethany Langby, to answer any questions you might have on those. Is there anything you would like to tell the council about them, the amount?
This gas tax is from House Bill 473. This gas tax is the newer gas tax. We saw this for the first time last year. Last year, we only got half of a year's worth. This year, we are requesting a full 12 months. That is $98,822.94. So that's what we will be requesting. We do have that amount already budgeted, and it will go into the gas tax fund to be used for our streets.
Any questions, Council Vice President McGee?
Yeah, if my memory serves me correctly, we have to do this every year in order to receive that, or we won't receive those funds. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, we have from March 1st till November 1st.
Councilmember Wilkie.
It has to be designated for a project though, right?
Correct,
So we have already done that,
correct,
and that was something we had done
through our budget.
before the end of the year. Is that what we were talking about? Some of the projects that needed funding?
We did it through our budget, through the street maintenance.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thanks.
Any other questions? The clerk treasurer? If not, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Item number 3 is council issues. Under council issues, we have ordinance 1901, which we would be starting our process all over again with a first reading next week, and then a public hearing after the workshop after that. Let me see. We have made some changes. Council was interested in making some changes to what was brought to the council to begin with. I had some changes that I wanted made. We have police officers who have expressed an interest, along with some other members of the city, to serve as ambulance drivers, and we need everybody that wants to get behind the wheel of an ambulance to help out. So this offers that opportunity. Since I have never in 7, almost 8 years seen anything where the council has had any direct voting on police reserves, we did make an allowance for police reserve officers to be on the council.
Since that's been ongoing for 7 or 8 years.
Well, it's finally going to be set in stone so that we have a position in the form of an ordinance. And the council can always look at ordinances and decide that they want to make changes to them in the future. So That's not unusual. Any questions on that? Everything that's been changed is in red. And that's on the one we just handed out. Councilmember Herr, do you have the 2-page?
Let's see.
Oh,
That-
It's a smaller print. Yeah, he has it.
That's the updated one. Unfortunately, we apologize, but Sam uploaded the wrong one, since there was 2 different versions. And Brittany assumed that that was the one that we were working with. I was not.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Sorry, Council Vice President McGee.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, especially Councilman Sparks, who initiated some changes that I didn't seem to have the idea of what they needed to be made. I think this is much improved. While maybe it's not perfect, nothing ever is. I appreciate the going back and redrawing it. I understand it's needed and appreciate the effort that was put into it. Just wanted to let you know.
Councilmember Sparks?
I will echo that. So I appreciate that we were able to go back and get it cleaned up a little bit more. So,
I tried to make sure it was what you looked, I assumed what you wanted to see.
yeah. Thank you.
And I'm happy with it. To me, it looks well put together and something that allows for some more employees to do some more volunteer work, which is great. Thank you. Any other questions on the proposed ordinance? If not, we will move on to resolution number R19-07. And that was the resolution of the City Council authorizing a developer of Iron Horse Station subdivision to install a stormwater pond within the dedicated parkland within the subdivision pursuant to LMC 16.40.040. And the developer had asked the council, at the council meeting last week, if we would table that. So it was brought back up, like we're told by the planner, Nick Altanoga, that the developer wanted to come in and speak with the council on this, so that's why we haven't brought forward. So, if you could state your name and address for the record.
Marvin Brown. I'm the president of Iron Horse Station and the developer of the land off of.
And your address?
The developer of the land off of Vermont, Maryland. And
No,
Walker.
your address.
Pardon?
Your address?
26 Stanford Court, Billings, Montana.
Okay, thank you.
My office is on Grand and Shiloh, though. I tried to call your council this morning. Is this a full council session or work session?
This work session.
Perfect. I tried to call your council yesterday in regards to how to proceed with a couple of the things that I had concerns about. One is I'm pretty much done spending money on the project. We've given it the gung-ho 2 or 3 times. I've learned some things about the project that I'm not real happy about. And I think one of them is draining water into the parkland ponds. That's not acceptable to me because I'm not going to get involved in that, and I don't think you should either. I think that's stepping past some of the wetland regulations, and I just don't think that's smart. Now, I'd like to change a couple of the proposals. One is, we do have approval to dump water into the Nutting drain ditch. Colton, like the predecessor Morrison Merrily, did not design storm ponds. They were going to drop the water directly into the Nutting drain ditch. when it was reviewed, we were told that the drain ditch didn't have capacity. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm not sure that's true. I know that there were some instances where I took out some blockages in the drain ditch because I was afraid it was gonna flood my houses. And we prevented that one evening when we found someone was creating a little dam over there and the water was coming up in the drain ditch, and we caught it just in time, and I moved a backhoe in there and dug the culvert out. So I guess a couple of steps. One is I'd like to contest the fact that we have the rights to dump into the drain ditch. And the other is I'm going to call for an audit of the Nutting Drain Ditch funds. I'm a little concerned that those funds have not been used properly and for what they were for, and I have put that in writing. That's one of the issues. The other issue, it's a two-pronged thing with me. I've just about expended enough money on that project to, it took the profit out of it, and it took the fun out of it, and I'm not really interested in proceeding just to have a bunch of lots that I can break even on, or somebody can build on for no profit. When Morrison Merrily came in about a year and a half, it's almost been 2 years ago, they did a survey of the property and came back to me and said, Marv, those lots aren't staked. And I said, are they supposed to be? And Carl Anderson said, yeah, you don't really have a legal survey or a legal subdivision unless those lots are staked. He talked to the city official at the time, I don't know. But they came back to me and said, well, they'll go out and stake the lots, kind of like on the QT. And I said, whoa, wait a minute, you're not doing anything on the QT on my part. So I put a stop to that. So I called an attorney, probably the best one in the state of Montana, in regards to the validity of this subdivision. He told me his legal opinion back to me was, you're on the borderline. He said, according to Montana law, I'll tell you, you probably don't have a subdivision. And I said, well, what do you suggest to do? He said, do you know anybody in the city very well? And I said, not that well. He said, I'd send him a bill for what you've got involved so far. So, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I've been billing the city for about $400,000 and no response. Well, now I've dumped another $100,000 into it between Morrison Merrily and Colton, and we got the crossing across the Nutting Drain Ditch legally filed with the Crowley firm, worked that out for us. And I guess I'm concerned now that if you guys want to work with me in regards to this subdivision, I don't know what you want to do with it as far as questioning whether it's legal or not. But if you want to move forward, I think the only way that I'm interested in moving forward into it is turning it into a modular home park on one end and a mobile home park on the other end. I can eliminate a lot of things by doing that. I can put the storage of water. I'll acquiesce to doing the storage of water, not in your park, but off-site, on-site, my site. And, we can work out a couple of things about how that, the mechanics of that works. But I still want to question the Nutting Drain Ditch. I think there's capacity there. It just needs to be cleaned and maintained. But it's up to you guys. I mean, if this is something that might work for you, I'm all game for trying it again. But I'm not throwing any money at this deal anymore. And I personally don't care if it's not a subdivision or not. I've got better things to do. And you just let me know whether it's, and I'll be delighted to work with your new planner. He's a straight up guy. He knows the stoop. I even did a couple of little preliminary plans. We can probably get, 60, 70 units on the property. Some of them would be for sale, some of them would be for rent. But that's the only way I can see how financially it would work for me. If we're gonna do a subdivision, sort of the way it is, I'm gonna run with the ball and have it collapsed and send it back. I did, you know, I've got some different ideas about how to design the property. I think I'd want to do a PUD the next time. That way, we can kind of change some things without, we might even make it a gated community, so it's something like the one on Shiloh. I did put together a cost sheet so that you don't think I'm kidding you. These are actually all of the numbers to date that I've got invested in that whole project. And here's the software. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. I have one more copy if you'd like. Or we should give it to the planner probably. Anyway, I just wanted you to know where I'm at. If you want to work on the deal, you'll be working with me more personally now. I'll bring Colton in for design, but as far as hands-on, you're looking at the guy. I'd get back involved. Those are the things I'd be interested in doing. If that doesn't fit with in your bailiwick, I'll go home. It doesn't mean anything to me, one way or the other. Any questions?
Councilmember Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What's a PUD?
Well, it's a planned unit development. And what it does is I'm responsible for the streets anyway. And so instead of being city maintained, once it's inside my gates, I maintain the roadways, I maintain the snow removal and that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, I think if you could work with the planner, and then the planner could let us know sometime by mid-next week, by Wednesday, if we have something to bring to the council. The council wouldn't, not going to be determining the zoning and all that, but they'll want to see
Sure.
between you two if there's something that you find is acceptable and zoned for what you want to do.
It'd have to be zoning change.
Okay.
It's like starting over.
Okay, then that would have to be brought to the council, and if that works, then the council would take a look at that, so.
Okay.
And I realized that was platted a long time ago, and I don't know.
Well, it was platted in 2005.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you guys know about the history or whatever, but it became a problem. We had islands on Maryland where the signs, we were actually going to build a sign with a steam engine and a couple of cars and then Iron Horse Station in big black letters underneath of it. And one of the city officials got crossways with my engineers, and we ended up tearing it out. And, it was about a $20,000 turn, by the time, we put them in for, I think it was $12,000. We had to tear them out for about 10. And that led to the kind of the downfall of the project, because they didn't want anything to do with it. If I would have realized at the time what the whole deal was, we could have gotten them to straighten this whole mess out, got them to stake the property, got the subdivision moved on. I wasn't aware of that until 2014 when Morris and Merrily tried to move forward. Unfortunately, Sanderson and Stewart, legally, they were off the hook. It was 7 years past, and statute of limitations had run out, or they would have been liable to come in and fix the problem. But it is what it is. We are where we are, and it's the only solution that I see that might work. Mm-hmm. I don't know I was really disappointed in the city by not contacting me when I started sending them bills. I thought at least it would get their attention, but I didn't get a call, not one call. And not even the city attorney or anybody called me in regards to that. And the attorney that did the review for me, the legal opinion, he said, he was amazed. He said, I just can't believe, he said, would you not call somebody if you got a bill for $400,000 in the mail and find out what the hell it was all about? And I said, I don't know. They walked to a different drummer, I guess. But it was
Well-
probably before most of your times. I doubt if you guys have been here that long. Have you been on the council 10 years?
Not 10 years yet.
No, but this has been 5 years ago, I think, when all this, or no, it's only been 3, 4. Anyway, I'm here to work if you want to try to do a deal. If not, matters none to me.
Nick, do you have anything else to bring to the council on that, or? Not that you need to unless you have something.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, I'd just like to say that, you know, we'd be happy to work with Mr. Brown to try and move things forward. I know I have some lingering questions just by what he's brought up tonight, but we can try and work through those. I know the plat is old, so we'd want to revisit a couple things, but we'd like to make it worth his while and try and move this forward. So that's kind of just my initial thoughts on the matter. I know I'm going to follow up with the Public Works Director tomorrow morning on this and just give him updates and see where we can move forward and how best to move forward.
Okay. Just let me know if it's something we can put on the agenda for them next week for the following workshop. So,
Of course, yeah, I'll try and follow up.
that way, I'd rather stay on top of it than to let it hang out there for a couple of months.
Of course, yeah. We'll
Unless
try
you
and-
need the extra time. And
Of
if you
course.
do, then let us know, so.
All right,
Okay.
should be no problem.
I'm sure the council would love to take a look at any solution and then make a decision. so,
Of course.
On how to proceed with that, so I thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Councilmember Wilkie?
Yes, sir, thank you. I'd like to know where that bill is that has been paid or has not been paid.
I have no idea, I haven't seen it till tonight, so we'll find out.
Would you please
Yeah.
get back to us?
I will certainly do that.
$400,000 laying out there that we may owe, and, you know, we may not have the money to do that, so
Well, I will get back to you on that.
appreciate it, thank you.
You're very welcome. Are there any other questions on that issue? Seeing none, hopefully we can, in 2 weeks, we can look at that again. Under other items, I think everybody is aware of the elected officials workshop, May 7th through the 9th. You had that in your packet. It's in Bozeman this year. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, I appreciate the time.
Thank you. So, if you would like to attend that, please fill that out and return that to Bethany, or Brittany, excuse me. Any questions on that workshop? Councilmember Monsieur?
How soon do we have to notify Brittany?
By the 16th of this month.
Thank you.
Next Tuesday.
Next up is review of council agenda. Which resolution R19-07 will not be on there. That is our Iron Horse subdivision. Looks like we're going back to staff. So we will just have the item of the appointment of Travis Pitts to the police captain under general items, and under executive review, we'll have our resolution on the gas tax, and then under council issues, we'll have our ordinance 19-01. Any questions on that? Seeing none, attendance at the meeting next week. Anybody not going to be able to make that? Councilmember Closey,
I will not be here next week
you have an important function to go to, right?
in Sydney, yes.
Yep. I
Thank
was
you,
aware of
Mr.
that. Under announcements, we have employee recognition, so I'm not going to read them all. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employees, anywhere from 2 to 38 years on the job, and volunteers, we have 4 that range from 4 to 22 years. So, see any of those individuals, it's always nice to thank them for their service. Oftentimes, those employees work day in and day out, and the only people that say anything to them are mad citizens. They don't get a lot of thank yous a lot of times, so if they could use any of them they could find. Well, with that, I will, end the council, Councilman
I have
Ron's
an
here.
announcement.
Oh, go right ahead.
Mr. Mayor, our Public Works meeting that was set for Thursday's been canceled because some of the people aren't gonna be able to be there.
And that was
Thursday, the 11th.
Thursday, the 11th, council. Thank you. Councilmember Welke, do you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
Councilmember Herr.
Well, we had a meeting tonight for the Cemetery Commission, and Mr. Carter was here, and he's on the Thursday meeting. I told him we were having it. Is there some way can he be briefed? Because he'll be here Thursday night to go to that meeting, and there won't be a meeting.
Who's that?
Marvin.
Marvin Carter.
Um,
I can try and get a hold of him, but,
I'll give you a phone number.
we'll find a way to get in touch with him.
okay, good.
I have his phone
And we
number.
were very specific about the fact that we are holding him Thursday night and not next week, Monday, and now it's canceled.
Councilmember Closey has promised that he will touch base with him.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Sparks?
I have nothing.
Council Vice President McGee?
I do not have anything, thank you, sir.
Councilmember